Hello, welcome to Egypt. We went in October of 22, and the first morning out of our hotel room, I didn't realize we could see the pyramids from our room. Caught me by surprise, but it was such a surreal moment. Like, I've only had two, this one, and then when we went through the tunnel and saw the magnificence of the Yosemite Valley. It was like you just walked into a picture. So amazing. And everyone was so nice and friendly and open-hearted. Like, you don't find that anywhere else except the Middle East and India. And we went with Osiris Tours, and they were amazing. You get a van, a guide and driver to yourself. And so this is feta, which is a national dish. It was really good. So these are the pyramids. And Egypt is very inexpensive, so make sure you go. And as soon as we landed, a man met us. He was so warm, and he gave us the visa just right there, and we went through without any lines. It was like celebrity service. It was amazing. So I'll tell you more about the pyramids at the very end for those of you sciencey and brainy people. But this is a funny picture because she told me, to start posing because I was too shy to pose. But this was the first look we had at the pyramids when you go to the visitor center. And this is the granite. They still don't know how they cut it. So good. And this was the inside of the pyramids. And it was so tight. Like, you really had to bend over. And the angle was like a 45-degree angle. That's why they had the slats. And if you see a dog in this one, and it was so straight up. It was amazing. So pretty. And then our guide, she got us this blueberry yogurt ice cream. It was really good. It was so hot out there. And that was fun. And then we went to Saqqara. They had the very nice hieroglyphs there, as you can see. They were such pretty scenes for the second-in-command guy's tomb. And she said that nowadays, with all the technology we have, we cannot even carve like that. And these ones are hard because you have to carve all around it instead of just carving the thing itself. And then we went to a carpet making factory. Saqqara, the carpets are famous there for thousands of years. And the cocoons there, the silkworms, it's the end of their life cycle. So you don't have to kill them to make silk, which I didn't know. And we did a little walk at the end in Cairo. And then in the plane, it was so pretty, and they have a prayer before you take off. And so this is Luxor, we landed. And 80% of the monuments are still undiscovered there, which is amazing. So we went to it's so dry, right? So dry. So the Hatshepsut temple was the one I'm standing in front of. There were many queens, but she wanted to be king, and she was made queen at 20 years of age. And the funny story about the cartouches, I think, is how you say it. That's where they put their name inside, and it's this little oval thing. And cartouche comes from the French word meaning bullet, like for the bullet shape. And Napoleon's soldiers, they were the first ones to be there to find it, and they were mistaken to call it a bullet. Anyway, so look at this. You can see how they made we're carving the inside of the tomb. So this is Tutankhamun's tomb. And so these are all the Valley of the Kings. They were not as brightly colored as when you go to the Valley of the Queens. And you should go to the Valley of the Queens because no one goes there. It was so empty. And those are the prettiest tombs, or at least Nefertari, which you'll see in a bit. But it's amazing, if you looked at that pillar that just went by, you can see how they started carving it, but they hadn't finished the back of it. And then, how they do it. So you can see there's a kid. This was a kid's tomb because his hair is parted and on one side. So that was a prince who had died. And this blue that they put on the ceilings, this is all stories of the afterlife. But that blue, only Egyptians could make that blue. No one else in the world knew how to make that blue. So Egyptians would make it and sell it to other parts of the world, and we still don't know how they made it, but it was chemical. They knew how to do science. Anyways, I don't know how to explain it. But this is Nefertari's tomb. It's the most beautifully colored tomb. This was Ramses II's favorite wife, and it was so gorgeous. It was painted just so new, even though it's 4,000 years old. And you should go see it because it's usually closed and will probably close again because the walls are falling and they don't know how to fix it. So this was at Luxor Hotel, the Hilton on the Nile. It was a beautiful setting and they had the best food. They had the best shawarma ever. And this was the nighttime. It was so pretty. And this was the Karnak Temple. And Hatshepsut put the obelisk you can see at the right. She put in 2 obelisks, which is an amazing feat. But there's only one standing because one is a gift to France. And so this was at the temple. This is what it looked like when it was in all its glory back in the day, which is amazing. And this was her obelisk. And then we went on a felucca ride, and that was so much fun. And they had these little plants, little mint plant, to make the tea with, a little hibiscus plant. So this is the hotel again. And they're just like taking this tractor down the river. I thought it was so interesting. And then there was a wedding going on. It was really cool. And then there's this sunset to fly back to Cairo. When we were flying back to Cairo, it was so pretty. And our pickup guy was so nice. He was the one who picked us up at the airport, and he asked us, well, how was Cairo? And we said, it was good. And he said, let me get that straight. You love Cairo? I've never heard that before. Here we have a nice quiet city. It's clean. We have all the kings and handsome men, referring to himself. He's being funny. Anyways, this is back in Cairo. Only Cairo has these double mosques. And then we went to the museum, and they don't know how they made those statues because to get the proportions right, even we can't do it with all of our technology. And then this granite statue or pyramid was amazing because it's not even a millimeter off. It's that precise. And then there's this other statue, had this eagle behind it, but when you're in front of him, you couldn't see the eagle. And they knew how to make crystal eyes, and they look so real. So when people discovered them, the guys ran out of the tunnel where they found him saying that it's alive, because if you look at their eyes, it honestly does look pretty alive. And this is a wooden statue. And so this was the museum that's the oldest museum that's always been a museum. So that was pretty cool. And this tablet is where they have Israel on it. And it's only one of 3 places where Israel is mentioned in history. And this is the blue that they would make in the papyruses. And these are so old. It's amazing. They're so good. And these are the mummies. And they knew how to make such nice jewelry. And this is Tutankhamun's throne. It doesn't look very comfortable, but it's all solid gold. And then we went to the old city of Cairo and went to the bazaar. And it was all so old there, you could be like 2,000 years back or 1,000 years back. All the architecture, so nice. Anyhow, as some facts about Egypt, did you know they import 500,000 tons of sugarcane? And even though they make like 2 million tons of sugarcane, I believe, is how I wrote it down. But they eat so much, they don't have enough to ship out because they love their sweets. Anyways, this was a napkin thing I wanted to learn how to fold. And look at this dish. It was so cool. And they broke the top open. Anyways, this is a chess set that I really wanted. It was so pretty. The Egyptians against the Mamelukes. And yeah, it was really funny because the guy was telling me that, just ask your dad because he'll give it to you. Dads don't give things to their sons, but daughters are their sweet spot. So that was funny. But I still didn't ask because it was like hundreds of dollars. And then there's a wedding happening that evening at the hotel. And this is a hotel at the airport, which is so funny. But looked like a lot of fun, the reception. And then this was flying back. It was so deserty. And then in an Egyptian outfit, I thought was fun. And so this is taking off, going back home. But I'll tell you some of the facts of Egypt now let's see, what was I saying? Oh yes, of the facts about the pyramids. So all that they said, it was so different than what we learned in school or these documentaries who say things as such hard facts. Like they were pretty much all wrong. So all of this information was new to me and it was amazing. So he said that the granite is the hardest rock, which still today we have no idea how they made it because they must have had some amazing technology. Because such 90-degree angles, so smooth, it had to be mechanical, but we have no idea what. And the ancient Egyptians show some of their scenes of how they made it, but not all, because like NASA doesn't tell us all they know, or do, because science is power. So they believe that they must have used hydraulic power to make the pyramids. And then the other thing she was saying, our guide, that the Great Pyramids only took 23 years because all he had to finish it because of their reign was only 23 years. And here I thought it was like so many years. And all these blocks were 2 to 5 tons to 15 tons, and it used 2.3 million blocks. So that would be putting one block in place each minute. And so that's amazing. So they were built different than we learned in classic literature for sure. And then all the granite is from Aswan because there's none here. So they had to bring all of it, which was amazing. And anyhow, there's so many facts. It's amazing. Okay, so here's the rest of the facts I had written down. So all the blocks of the pyramids are all different sizes. So they didn't use blocks of wood to mold them. So that one's out. And then she was saying that when you know how you build, like a builder or a chemist or a doctor, you're even more dazzled with how they made it. Whereas if you're not, you don't understand, which I thought that was interesting because my dad, being a builder in construction, he was even more fascinated with all these things because he could really, grasp the depth of it. So I don't have those written down because it's way too deep, but she was saying that Egypt made it so big and so well for centuries because they had the natural borders, the Sinai Mountain to the west, and then to the west, the sand, and to the south, the forest. So the Egyptians were isolated, and they had no horses till the Middle Kingdom, only donkeys. And in 3200 BC, the Southern Kingdom got all of Egypt, and so that's when they wore the double crown. And Egypt was the first empire in the world in the New Kingdom. Saqqara was the capital of the Old Kingdom, and Memphis was of the New. And Men means construction, or monument in English, and Phis means beautiful. So Memphis was beautiful construction. And so Saqqara is where Cairo is. So they believe in classic literature that the pharaohs moved from Saqqara to Giza in the 4th century, in the 4th dynasty, and then went back. And that's what classic literature says. But our guide, she said she didn't believe that. She believes that it's an old kingdom that was lost because they had even better technology and were so much more advanced, way back than when the pyramids that we think were built. Like she was saying that they were even more advanced, like say 10,000 years ago than just 4,000 years ago. So that was very interesting. And it's 230 meters. Each side of the pyramid is 230 meters with no difference greater than 5 centimeters. So that it's more accurate to north than the Greenwich Meridian, and construction today still cannot get that perfection. And then the pyramids, they look one looks taller than the other, but she was saying that both pyramids are the same. It's just that one lost a few blocks on top, and the other is 10 feet, is on higher ground by 10 feet, and has a full top. So that's why the other one looks way taller. And so with the Sphinx, did you know that the Sphinx even has a tail? I didn't know that. And beside the Sphinx, where the Sphinx is, there's this big granite, like not building, but area, and like a building. And the granite there is cut so smooth that it's amazing. They don't know how they did it. And it is attributed to Khafre just because they found a statue near there, but it doesn't even resemble Khafre. So it's like all these things we learned in school that this is Khafre's or whatever isn't even true. Anyhow, so in this place is where they did the mummification. And even though there were thousands of mummies done, there's nothing written of how they did it. So that's just another evidence that they knew so much, and they also knew so much to not disclose it. And then the pyramids are made so perfectly that a circle or a ball could fit inside perfectly, the shape. So we know that they found out pi way before, modern civilization did. Like they knew it thousands and thousands of years ago. Okay, now I'm going to say some things that I did not fully understand at all. It was going over my head. So if some of you guys are just like super smart and know how to put all of this together, then this is for you. So she was talking about a ram pump and that they used it to make vibrations and like someone recreated it. And at 440 hertz, it's made 60% gravity when hit. So the room inside the pyramid was made so that the block inside wasn't touching any wall, so it could vibrate. But if anything touches it, it won't vibrate. Anyways, I can't remember, what she meant by that, of how it was used in making the pyramid. But that was one theory. And then she said that with granite, it has crystal. And people make lamps with it just by touching the crystal lets out an electrical charge. So that's how they figured they had light. Because so far deep in the pyramid, they do not know how they had light, to do all the things they did. Because a mirror couldn't make the light go that far in. And there's no evidence they used torches because there's no charcoal or burnt spots anywhere. So they must have had electricity or known some way of that type of thing. And then she was talking about this other thing, that when it reaches resonance, that will collapse. Like a bridge was built in the US, but it reached point of resonance and collapsed. Anyways, I don't know how that related to the pyramids, but that was very interesting. And then she said to look into the Tesla Tower, which would give a wireless electricity to the whole world. And then she said to look into Charles Downs with Maser technology and like to search it. And that his machine is like a copy of the places inside the pyramid. And then she's talking about Baghdad's battery, which is saying that many of those, who worked inside the tombs, or when they were making the tombs inside, like Nefertari's tomb or all of those, they didn't use torches. So they knew electricity and batteries. And so the next question is like, why didn't it spread? Like, why didn't the whole world get it? And she was saying because they didn't want everyone to know. So that was very interesting. Anyhow, there is so much to it. I probably want to go back like multiple times. Sorry about that. Multiple times to, understand it all. But it's amazing. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.